Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of VPN Chat. I am privileged to have this guy on as a guest. I met him through my very good friend Quincy Kelly, and he has been active with Victory Productions ever since. Give a shout out to everybody to my next guest, Mr. Isaac King. How you doing today, sir?
I am doing well. I am doing well. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
No problem, man. Thank you so much for being a part of VPN Chat today. Definitely want to talk to you because, like, you are actually one of the newer people to actually come on. Towards the latter part of Victory Production. So
Yeah.
it would be great to really get your perspective on how you see things in the productions and everything since you've been a part of what we've been doing. Now just a little brief for people who, because I interviewed you for Celebrating Black Excellence, came to
Yeah.
Waycross actually when you had your cafe. For people who don't know or who didn't see that interview, you're originally from the West Coast area.
Yeah. Originally from Los Angeles. About high school age, I would say, is when my parents decided to move us to the East Coast. And so I've been here in Waycross, Georgia since then, which is it's down south, like south south.
Right.
So
Was that a culture shock for you?
yes, yes. And mind you, this was back in like 2009, 2010. So it was still kind of at a time, not, it wasn't the 60s or anything, but it was still a time where people, especially in smaller towns like Waycross, were kind of still figuring it out.
Mm,
I think one of the biggest things that was kind of a culture shock that spoke to the entire experience was there was a song, and I don't remember what the name of the song was, but there was a song that came out. It was really popular. I think it was like a rap song or something like that that came out around 2010. I had heard it about a year ago, a year before I lived in Georgia and California. When I got to Georgia, when I got to South Georgia specifically, they were just hearing the song.
oh
So
wow.
kind of put into frame for me. Yeah, that kind of put into frame for me. Okay, so this is a slower pace. They're not as, heavily geared towards pop culture, not really heavily geared towards just instantly trending things. The internet was still kind of YouTube and all that stuff were still in their infancy. And so that kind of spoke to the nature of what people valued in the South. But it did help me in that regard in terms of being closer to family, having more of a big group, not being as, fast paced and money driven, and kind of keeping a air of humility to oneself. So it was a culture shock for sure. Some bad ones in some aspects, but many good ones on that other end as well too. So
Awesome. Now, as I mentioned in the introduction, I met you through Quincy. How
yeah,
did you get linked to One Accord and BBI?
man,
Which
it
which
was
by the way,
really one of those.
guys,
Yeah,
BBI stands for Bridge Builders Initiative. So I want people to know
yeah,
that.
Bridge Builders Initiative.
People be like, "What is
Yeah.
BBI? What is that?" Well, yeah. So how did you get connected to that?
It was a weird butterfly effect type thing, man. I had done a few theater like plays here in Waycross. Back when I was in LA, I did just a couple of commercials as a kid, just like minor things, acting classes here and there. And so when I got here, I did theater, and then a guy from us wanted to do this version of Texas Chainsaw, and so he got with me because he had kind of heard that I was wanting to get into acting professionally. And then my one of my co-stars on there, Tamaja Watts, MJ, she happened to be going to these classes that were in Douglas, that were ran by BBI, that were ran by Quincy. And so while we were on the set of the Chainsaw film, she just said, "Hey, you want to come to Douglas, one week and sit in on the acting classes and stuff like that?" And so I just kind of, told her, yeah. And like they say, quite literally, the rest there was history. But it had been, if I didn't bump into this person that asked me to do this thing, and then another person that asked me to do that thing, and then just running into Tamaja out of all people, who came from BBI at the time, who was acting and doing things through there. Um, that's kind of how, and then from there, started, getting in on the acting classes, getting in on the production classes, um, and started to have opportunities that would pop up for those who were consistent enough to want to actually take production for real and make it a career. And just so happened that one of the first things that we were doing was with VPN, for the Love of Christmas 2. Um, and so that's, that long train of people to people. That's kind of how it happened.
That's what's up. Yeah, I love how you describe it again, because that's just how life works, man. Like when
Yeah.
you are just following your course and following your road, you end up meeting people that put you in connection with people that are supposed to help you along your journey. So I definitely love that story. I think that's dope.
Yeah.
But but yeah, so before Love of Christmas 2, you did do a stint in Pastor Thorne 2. You played a detective.
Yeah.
So that's actually uh where we first met, because
Yeah.
I was doing the casting call for the detective, and I know you submitted, and that, again, that's how I knew the connection between with Quincy and all that good stuff. Talk about, even though, like I said again, it was one scene, but
Yeah.
I feel like it was definitely an impactful scene, because for people who haven't seen the movie yet, which is on Tubi and Peacock, by the way. If you haven't seen the movie yet, Isaac is playing one of the detectives, and they actually arrest the bishop while he is preaching this very
Mhm.
outlandish and crazy sermon, quoting Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah. Yeah.
um. So,
This ish ain't free.
first of all, I just want, if people don't know this about me already, people, if y'all can't figure it out, I love Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar is actually one of my favorite rappers. So I was like, I am definitely throwing that in there. But that was so crazy. I know people who watched it, it was like, why is
Yeah.
this man quoting Kendrick Lamar? Um, so I would talk about your experience. Like I said again, this is the first time me and you actually worked together on a project. And your first time actually be a part of a Victor Productions project. So talk about your experience on that.
Um, First thing that comes to mind was just like efficient. Like, really, like it was, I think that took the longest amount of time was quite literally the drive from Waycross to Augusta. And so, by the time I had, kind of been on the way, I had already done a little bit of a background, just like, okay, so he's produced several movies. This is not his first rodeo. This is like, even this in and of itself is a sequel to something that already, existed prior to. And so whenever I first got there, I think you were still running the scene with Marquise. Marquise, is that his name?
Yeah,
Marquise? I'm
yeah, that's
pretty sure.
Marquise. Yeah.
Yeah. And Marquise absolutely like killed it. Like that was one of the first times that I can really, in my like professional career, would consider myself being just kind of stunned and little nervous, because he absolutely, like, while he was up there, I was like, dag on, like this is serious stuff. Like this dude, like acting is, it kind of opened my mind to just how big acting and production and everything could be, and how like truly talented folks are. And I think that, especially my experience, first experience with VPN, that was my first time really feeling a smaller fish in a big pond, as opposed to it being what I was used to in Waycross, which is, kind of vice versa. Not a lot of people, they weren't, acting, weren't doing theater, didn't, may have not gone to school for it, or just, and it's, that's okay, and it's, nothing wrong with that. People's paths are different, but up until that point I was kind of like, well, yeah, one of the only guys in Waycross that are doing this. And then I go to Augusta and I see, this scene being acted out in a way that just kind of just blew my mind and let me know, oh, okay, so this man is for real. So that along the efficiency, it was kind of just like all right, you ready to do your scene? Okay, this is how we want it done. Okay, so this is what you say, and wrapped it up. And then right after it was like, okay, so hey, what's your cash app? What's your cash app? What's your and so I was just in awe of the process because people didn't run things like that here in Waycross and not on, any kind of independent set or anything like that for that matter. So that was my first experience.
That's what's up, man. And I just want to say again, I think you did a tremendous job. Like that really, I mean, again, and I want actors to really, if they're watching or listening, I really want actors to pay attention to it. No matter how big or small your role is, make sure that you come at it still 100% all the time because like you I think for me, you and Ricky, and then even with Reggie, in that small scene, that scene was so still impactful throughout the movie. Not only because of the
Yeah,
outlandish sermon, but just the fact of your performances in that and really like
yeah,
driving home the point of this guy is an evil guy and the way that you
yeah.
guys really came in and the chemistry between all three of you, I thought was amazing. But again, like even just I've worked with Ricky before, and of course I worked with Reggie. So this is my first time working with you, and
Mm,
I was impressed by first of all I was just impressed by your enthusiasm, but second I was impressed by the way you delivered that role. And again, it wasn't a big part, but it still left a lasting impression on me. And it just overall the story, that scene was one of the best scenes in the entire film. So I just want actors to know, like I said again, whatever role that you have, make sure you put 100% into it because not only do you leave an impression, but that could also lead you to other opportunities too.
mm. Yeah, very much so. It's like like a job. I know there's a thing going around that's like, hey, we're gonna work our wage or we're gonna do this, but just even with that, you excellence in everything because you never know. It could be one line. Hell, you could have no lines and just be somebody that has an action in something and folks are watching, watching what you're doing before you even do it. Are you enthused? Are you on your phone? Are you just looking like, okay, hey, I'm ready to leave? Like, so, big or small, there is a lot that's tied to roles and tied to things that folks just, don't think about very much.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. So which leads us to the big role, which leads us to For the Love of Christmas 2, A Heart for the Holidays. And we and I've talked about this, of course, with several other actors that I've worked with that are in the project. We had the opportunity to actually come to Douglas to film the majority of this movie. So it was definitely a big shift and change for me, especially because we actually had a crew to do this project. And for people, I mean, for most people who probably didn't know this already, I was doing majority of the filming, and so this was definitely a unique experience for me because we actually had camera people, we actually had the audio person, we actually had the cinematographer, the director of photography, and we just basically had a whole crew situation with this film. So it was definitely a different situation. Isaac had two parts. He was production and he was acting. Um Something I'm familiar with as well, but
Yeah.
Isaac played Tristan, who is
Hmm.
the long lost son of Junior. Um in this film. So first of all, let's talk about the acting side. For people unknown fact, people who don't know, you originally auditioned for Jabari
Yeah.
for the Doctor, and then
Yeah.
we thought you would play better as playing Tristan, which I thought was definitely a better decision. So
Yeah. Yeah.
talk about your character Tristan and then talk about just your experience playing that role.
Okay, so yeah, Tristan Hampton, the long lost son of Junior. It was it was an interesting role. It was the first role that I felt like I had to kind of think it through. I wasn't that much older than Tristan by the time, we're by the time we got to filming and stuff like that in terms of his actual character age. But I did want to play it down a little bit. I've experienced life, experienced a whole lot of life at that. Tristan was, despite the issues he had with his dad and his family and everything, Tristan was still kind of young. He still did have a brightness to him. He kind of had a youthful, exuberance to him that made it so that you kind of had to play him with almost like a sense of levity. Um, and I really kind of enjoyed being that, wide-eyed kid that's like meeting his dad. I wanted to, me and Ron, that we were like behind the scenes and everything. We were working on our scenes, and he would like lean up, and then I'd say, okay, are you gonna lean up right there? I'm gonna lean up right there and follow you. Like, okay, are you gonna put your hands, cross your hands while you're sitting down and doing this? I'm gonna do the same thing. I really want to like show our relationship and show that Tristan's trying to like catch up to, being to a father that he's just meeting at the time. So it took it, I think that background character work was probably the most fun part of it, just figuring out little nuances and little, ticks. Tristan's reaction to the rest of the family, his reaction to, Aretha. And so yeah, it was a fun role. It was definitely a fun role on the acting side for sure.
Yeah, I think, like I said, two things stand out for me in your performance as far as Tristan. Um, the part when Donald's character was like, "So we still gonna eat dinner?" or was something he said, "Are we gonna get dinner?" And your face, your reaction to that was so funny to me. I said, "I gotta put that in." I said, "Cause
Yeah.
you looked at him like, really, nigga? That's how you looked to me."
Like, bro, for real? Like, you for real right now? Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, and then the second, of course, was the dinner scene. Um, that whole thing was phenomenal. Everybody's performance in that scene, the final dinner was great. I remember
Yeah.
again just watching everybody. Of course, I watched you, and like the sincerity of it all and the genuineness of it all was just so beautiful. I think the great thing, honestly, about that whole week was everybody really, honestly, the relationships that were built off camera, I think, is what really translated on camera, and I think that's what made everything such so beautiful to me. And in your performance, like I said again, when you're talking and you're like tearing up, and it's like you could really feel that. That was like some real stuff, like for real.
Yeah, I think I love it when there's a film and it just like kind of just translates directly to what's taking place at the time. That's like the best thing, to not have to necessarily act instead of be. And so, between me, Ron, Sharmik, and Kelsey, especially, we were, hanging out in and out, running and getting coffee and, chilling around. So over that time, as we were developing the relationship within like the script, we were also developing that kind of relationship where, Ron was giving me different pieces of advice, Shamika was, doing the same thing. And so they kind of became that. And now, even now, we check up on each other. We always on each other's, photos and sharing each other's stuff and stuff like that. So like that relationship literally, developed in almost a near identical manner to what it was in the film itself. And that's always, beautiful when that can happen.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So on the flip side, you also were doing production.
Yeah.
And so you were between you and Kelsey, y'all was running around. Like it was like
Yeah.
y'all was in character, and all right, let me go check this camera, let me go do this. It was just y'all were doing a lot.
Yeah.
And I know how that is, but I want to hear from
Yeah.
you. How was that for you, acting and being a part of production at the same time?
Me personally, I'm I'm an all or nothing person. Um, I don't like middle ground stuff. I've never it's been something I've tried to work on, just haven't done, and I think I'm pretty much stuck this way. And so for me, I enjoyed the learning. I will say that I enjoyed the learning because I do want to get a better view and did want to get a better view of what things were like behind the scenes. Um, my gifts aren't in camera. I will say that much. After we got done filming, Quincy was texting me. He was like, "Hey, bro, did you press this button whenever we was filming? This thing's playing back in slow motion." And I'm just like, "Oh, I'm not. Yeah, I am not. Too great on the camera, but I enjoyed the process of learning. Me, I prefer to be able to give my all to what I'm doing at the moment. So if I, initially got booked for the acting gig, then it's just like, okay, hey, I want to be able to give this everything. But I loved having to be a team player in that regard too, because we did have a crew. But mind y'all, to those listening, we, maybe 15 folks if at a peak, if that. I might be counting a little wrong, but everybody was pulling a different load. It wasn't, all the actors and actresses, if we needed extra help with something else, they were helping. Same thing with Quincy and Carlton. They did not hesitate to jump in and start doing stuff as well too. And so I always enjoy the team aspect of it, especially of the production side, because it's like, hey, despite the fact that you might want to do this one thing, we need to get this done, which means we need all hands on deck. And that kind of, helps build that camaraderie that we do have, that we actually, are able to enjoy now.
Yeah, and it's funny that you did mention that I was trying to help. I was trying to help. They wouldn't let me help. They
Yeah,
kept
no, we were,
they
yeah, it
they
was
they they,
very scant.
they kept making me sit down because I was
Yeah,
itching. I was itching to jump in there and do something, but it was like, no, sit down. It's
yeah. And you could see how uncomfortable he was. Like you could tell it was just like, I need to do something. No, I need to, like, don't know what to do right now. I need to do something. I need to help. But yeah, yeah, man.
um, you just recently, and this is my bad. I have to apologize to all the actors too, because nobody has their DVDs, I think, but you. So you you recently,
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, you recently got your DVD. I got to mail Kelsey hers and Quincy's, and basically everybody. Everybody got to get a DVD.
Mhm.
They're sitting right here in my room. Um,
Gotcha.
so you got yours. What was that feeling like for you, actually seeing your name on a DVD? Because I know for me, when I first got my very first DVD, which was Reindeer Games,
Mhm.
like, I know we're in an age now you can watch stuff digitally and watch it on the streaming services, but it's such a different feeling when you actually see a film that you did or was a part of, and you see your name
Yeah.
or your face or whatever on the actual DVD. I know for me, like, that did wonders for me. I was just like, because
Mhm.
growing up, of course, we grew up with I don't know about you, but I grew up with the VHSs and the DVDs. But you grew up with that, and then like you actually see
Yeah.
your film on the actual DVD. I was like, oh, this is really cool. So what was that like for you, actually? Because I was excited giving you your DVD. I was like, I really want him to be excited about this. But what was your like feeling when you first got yours?
Yeah, no, I'm a millennial, so I caught the tail end of VHS. Like, I was right there for the end of it. So I had a few VHS tapes. I think Lion King pretty much it, and then it split over to DVD. So I can still, like, appreciate, I guess, the value of having the DVDs, and that's what that took me back to.
Mhm.
Like, just like you said, everything's accessible through streaming now, but whenever I actually saw something tangible that's like, hey, I used to watch DVDs growing up. Like, I am actually on one of these. This is incredible. And I still haven't opened it, 'cause like you said, we can stream the movie we want. So I'm not gonna be, breaking out my DVD player and playing it. It is actually hung up in my own in my room, in my living quarters and everything, and just completely unwrapped. And so hoping to rack up some more of those, assuming that anybody, is still going to use them and print them out like that. But it was kind of surreal, honestly, just, being able to actually see it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, but so since we're still on For the Love of Christmas too, I do want to talk about again the food. We have some great food, and I know again, you recently closed Perfect Tea, but I want to say, guys, I experienced some of the greatest wings of my life
Yeah.
that week, man, and just I we all I think we all everybody just bonded over like the food, just the different food that
Yeah.
we was getting and everything, man. But yeah, and then like you mentioned, the coffee runs. I credited Sharmika for introducing me to the iced latte with the almond milk. So that she definitely
Yeah.
got me hooked on that. So it was like I said, man, it was just an amazing week, and it was just awesome to really work with everybody, and and just the synergy of it all was awesome. Um, I did bring this up with Sharmika and Ron, and I got to bring it up with you because you were involved in it. We did have to reshoot one of those scenes because one of those scenes didn't get recorded, and
Hmm.
because it was funny because um as I was going back and watching the edit, and I was like, Quincy, where's the part where Sharmika and Ron and Isaac actually open the results and look at it? Because we could see like it was there, like the scene is there, but the camera was only on Nicole and Donald, and I was like, they cool and all, but they're not the important part. They're not the important part of
Yeah.
the scene. Oh gosh. But what was beautiful about that though is even watching it, of course we can tell because we're production and we have the eye. But watching it overall,
Yeah.
you can't really tell that that scene was actually reshot.
Nah, nah. It broke my heart a little bit because I had to shave down again.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, but yeah, you can't tell. You can't tell. Like I said, it broke my heart a little bit because, like I said, I had just grown it all back from shaving the first time. It was like, hey, do I still have to shave? It's like, yeah, it's gonna be on your face. Okay, yeah. So, but it happens. That's how it happens.
Was that a character decision for you to have Tristan be barefaced?
Yes, yes. I wanted to look just a little younger than what I was at the time.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, like I said, it was the whole thing. Like I said, I had to make sure Sharmika looked the same. I had to make sure her nails were the same, her hair, because I think I think she took the braids out by the time we did the reshoot. So we had to make sure that all that was the same. So yeah,
Yeah,
I definitely and yeah, but I what I loved again, once again, what I loved about this team is that I didn't have to be there to make sure that it happened. I was not there for the reshoot. Quincy and all you guys, y'all took care of it. And like I said, this project is near to my heart just because of the camaraderie that we all had on that set. So it was beautiful.
yeah, definitely.
What do you think Tristan is doing currently in your mind? What is Tristan doing right now?
He's probably working on a plan to get back to school. That's what if I could, write an ending for Tristan or write a continuance for him. Yeah, he's probably working on, Junior's probably telling him, hey, you can go back and finish, and he's probably working on a way to finish that up right now.
I like that. That's good. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Another thing that you have been doing with us, and it's not necessarily Victory Productions, but I mean, it's still kind of sort of in the vein of it. You have been
Yeah.
doing you have been doing cosplay for me,
Yeah.
which has been awesome. I have a book out called Titan Warriors, Alignment of Power, and you have been cosplaying as the Silver Titan Warrior.
Yeah.
So you come to a couple of our events. The first event that you came to was the Ranger Stop and Pop in Atlanta last year.
Yeah.
So and I literally just put that compilation video out
Yeah.
yesterday. So it was
Yeah.
cool. It was cool putting that together because, like I said again, it just took me back to those times of the different, all the people we met, and all the just. It was a great experience, man.
Yeah.
It really was. So I want you to talk about your experience being there because I know you and Kengetta, because I had been to Ranger Stop a few times, but you and Kengetta, that was your first
Yeah.
time there, and you guys were just mesmerized by all the great things that were happening there. So I want you to talk about your experience being at Ranger Stop.
Yeah. I think my awe was kind of two-tiered. It was on the first end, it was just the nature of the event itself. It was, really cool event, had a bunch of just cool stuff, just throwback, all kinds of nostalgic booths, different, sex of media. It wasn't just power and everything. You had a whole bunch of other stuff that they had going on there too. So just like the experience itself and seeing this many people come out to just essentially just celebrate another facet of media was just kind of it was jaw dropping for me. Food was good. The food trucks were really cool. uh just to see that much, it's kind of even seeing that much star power in the room between the different actors and actresses and just the long histories of these, different avenues. And so, which kind of brings me to the second part of it. The bigger one for me was that it opened my eyes to the different facets of media, especially having met some people that are in gaming that did, voiceovers, like the guy that played Spider-Man, and then a couple of other people that did some anime things. So I'm like, okay, this is opening my mind to like, hey, cosplayers are actors. They're people that get paid, lots and lots of money because of their skills, because of how they're able to kind of absorb a character, whether it be, human or something else altogether. And just seeing that, seeing how it's over, and how they can all kind of intersect, voice acting, cosplaying, traditional acting, theater. Um, you can bump into, and I think if I'm not mistaken, at the Atlanta one, I saw somebody that I was on a set with. He was a part of one of the other booths. And so, again, just seeing where everything intertwines and seeing the big web of media in general, and kind of even just like you said, how it's like, well, it's it's not like exactly VPN, but it's VPN related. Looked at it, I always have looked at it as just another leg. Kind of seeing VPN as more of an umbrella and just looking at this like, okay, this is a leg. This is, what we're doing right now. This is a leg. And so I'm always looking for connections and where things intersect. And I think those conventions really open my eyes to a lot of what you could do, if you're not necessarily even in front of the camera at the time. You can still, go out and do things like this. And so it was really eye opening for me.
Yeah. It was, like I said, it was dope. To actually, like I said again, I've been to Ranger Stop a few times. That's my first year as an exhibitor, so it was cool being
Yeah.
on that side and um having a representation of something that you created. Because again, the book had just came out, and so really having you as a visual for people to really see,
Yeah.
I think that was dope. I think that was real cool. My goal, actually, like I said, this year, because I'm not going to Atlanta this year. I'm going to Orlando. Hopefully, is to actually
Okay.
get six actors to have all six. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think that'll be cool. So yeah,
Yeah. Bring them
definitely.
all in. That would be cool.
Yeah. for sure. I also, let's see. So I'm gonna bring this up, but we can't talk too much about it because it's not out yet. But
Okay.
Isaac is also starring on the final season of Bondage. um, and I want to apologize to the people because we definitely shot this last year. But you know, life happens and things happen, and you know, people say they're retiring, and things just happen, and so so
Yeah, it be like that sometimes.
yeah. So yeah, basically on my end, we are still. It's been a process with the assistant to getting this thing color graded. So hopefully we have something final very soon. I just got done editing the raw version of Sweet Mahogany 3. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the finishing touches on that, get that in, and now I can finally work on the final season of Bondage. Which again, I want this to happen just because I'm all about. We all hate when shows just end abruptly with no uh no conclusion. And
Yeah.
yeah, and so honestly, in my head, when we did season 3 of Bondage, um, I thought that was gonna be actually the end of the show. Um,
Mm.
Nelson was like, "No, I don't wanna end like that." And I was like, "Okay, so we'll do one more season." And so we did shoot it. We got it all done. It's on the drives, ready to be edited together. And so now that I'm done with those two films for the most part, I can now focus editing that and get that out to the people. So hopefully, um, y'all will see that soon. But Isaac is playing Quincy. He's a brand new character. He does have a connection to the story. I don't want to reveal that because that'll just throw the whole final season away. But I want you to talk about you coming in playing one of the leads of a series, and like just you can talk about your character a little bit, but just not like obviously give away the connection and stuff like that. But like,
Yeah, I got you. I got
how did you what decision did you make to do this character?
you. I would say with regard to Quincy, pushing the envelope, range. Some of my characters prior to, I would say, um, yeah, I would say pushing the envelope, forcing me to do better, forcing me to have some range, really getting into the character and why he's that way, and why he's reacting the way that he is. How is he going to, is he going to kind of control his darkness a little bit better? Is he going to embrace it? And so that role kind of really made me start asking the questions of, hey, uh, how you gonna really play this? This guy has some interesting stuff to it. Um, and so I think every time, and it's kind of speaks to my experience with VPN. It's like every time we did a different thing, it kind of forced me out of my comfort zone a little bit more, and then a little bit further. First playing the detective, which was smaller role, but it was one that I kind of played a little bit differently than my others. Then the next thing, with Tristan, and then you go on the entire opposite end of the spectrum, and it's almost he's almost like a dark Tristan a little bit, but we're gonna leave those parts out for everybody to watch. But it's definitely him and Tristan got some places where they light and dark, and so uh, I think going on to that other side, it just forced me to push the envelope a little bit more.
Yeah, I think, like I said again, what I love about a lot of the actors that I have had the experience of working with, and like I said, I want to include you in that. I love that again. You guys actually study these characters, and you guys study the nuances and the idiosyncrasies of what these characters are, and You're not playing
Yeah.
basically you're not playing the same person each time. Like if I like
Yeah.
I can watch you and say, "Oh, he's actually playing this role," versus I'm seeing Isaac. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah.
so I feel like just and again, this is just my brief experience of working with you and the different stuff that I have. I can definitely see the different dynamics, and I can tell that you study and was like, okay, you studied the background and the subtext of what was going on with these
Mm.
characters. So that's exactly what I saw as far as watching you and your performances. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um lastly, you did come down for the VPN 20th anniversary. No, that's not lastly, because you do something else too for VPN. I gotta talk about that too. Let's say VPN 20 for last. You
Okay.
Isaac also serves as our social media manager. He also does the social media for Video Productions. Um, and which I am extremely grateful for. Because even though I'm on social media a lot, I still don't really know all the analytics and all the other stuff. But basically, when to post and all that stuff. I don't know about all that. I just post it, send, push it, keep it pushing. But Isaac actually has knowledge in that and doing that. So he does a lot of the behind the scenes stuff as well with us, which again I'm grateful and appreciative. Quincy was again was the one that was suggested it. And
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, I want you to talk about as far as your experience as far as like how do you navigate when it comes to social media?
As much as I hate to say it, I'm on social media a lot. As much as I really hate to admit it, I am from kid till now. I was on MySpace, I was on tagged a bunch of other stuff. And so when I went to college, I took a few classes on communications and media literacy. And after that, if you can believe it, which is why I always give you crap about Casey the Poet, is for a little bit of time after high school, between then and I think probably about 22, 23 years old, I actually did music myself too.
Okay.
And so there's some stuff that's floating around that's still on YouTube. But even then, I was using some of the practices that I had learned in college with social media. And over time, I kind of just developed a skill for, searching when things get the most views, when you should run ads, what you should do, how you should word your posts. And I think it kind of ties into it. It might sound weird to say, but it kind of ties into the dynamic of media and acting. Like you kind of have to know how people are to know what they're going to engage with. It's one thing to say, hey, can you come to my shoe store? I got the best shoes in town, versus, saying something like having a cool, little rhyme, or having just, a picture of the shoes and saying, hey, look, we know your shoes are getting worn out, so come on by. Just phrasing and what makes people tick and what makes different things tick and go up in views on social media. I've have done a couple of posts in the past that hadn't been related to nothing but just posts, but had, gained viral status. I've, done a few things that have kind of put my own post up there. And so it's really just psychology. The actions themselves are really simple. You get on, it's most of the time whenever I'm doing our stuff for VPN, I'm on my phone. Sometimes I'm on the laptop if it's bigger files or if I need to put a little more detail in, but a lot of the time it's on the phone. So I think the action of it is really, really simple because we all kind of do it every day to a certain degree. Just we get up, we post, we'll share stuff. But kind of getting and going, the psychology of people, the psychology of social media, um, has always kind of been an interest to me. And it's kind of fed from my acting, and then help with different regards in terms of just, making sure everything's up consistently. And so yeah. But it's fun for me. It's fun for me. I don't look at it as like, oh, I gotta, I gotta make these posts, or oh, I got this gig doing social media work. It's just like, man, no, I'm just, interacting with people. That's it.
That's what's up. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah.
Because I always say, man, if it wasn't for what I do, I would not be on there at all. I would just
Man, I don't blame you on that one. That I kind of share that sentiment too. It's just like, look, if I just do VPN without having to have a personal page attached to it, oh, y'all wouldn't hear from me. Y'all wouldn't. It would be, you, Quincy, the BBI crew, and everybody else be like, "Where's Isaac at?" It's like, look, he's here. So yeah, I agree.
yeah. Plus this the world we live in now. It's the age. It's like if you want your stuff out there, you gotta be on so that way people
Yeah,
know what's now once you catapulted to the stratosphere status, then you ain't got to worry about it no more.
yeah,
People,
yeah. No, I ain't got, but yeah,
yeah, where we at, we gotta be on it. Unfortunately,
yeah. Got to do a little more footwork. Just got to
uh,
do just a little bit more footwork, man. I don't know what else to say.
right. So bring this back to the VPN 20th. You definitely graced us with your presence. You came down from way across, came to Augusta to be at the VPN 20th. I want you to talk about your experience being a part of the anniversary because again, you are one of the newer people that
Yeah.
uh that joined VPN. So what was the experience like for you being in the room with all the different people that have been a part of Victory Productions?
Incredibly humbling. If I ever need to ever, pace myself in life, and if there's ever a time where I like kind of get here with my try to keep it there, you and Quincy will be the first individuals that I hit up, because everything y'all do, whenever I come and interact with y'all, it's just like, holy crap. Like when we took that picture and that photo with all the actors and actresses that were part of VPN, I was just like, oh my God, like I am one in many. And so it was a fun night, obviously, amazing experience, great night, great food, great people and fellowship. But as a, takeaway, it was just like, wow, this is an empire that's been built up and comprised of, many actors, many, people, writers, producers, people that just have come together to see through 20 years and counting of work, of production, of love, of all that. And it's just it was kind of just surreal to be a part of it. And I came in as a new guy, came in a little bit late to the picture, so I didn't have as many relationships between some of the actors and actresses, but they, you wouldn't be able to tell by the way that we were interacting when we were there. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things, the fact that it was a group of people that were good people, were folks that, weren't just, coming at me looking up like, oh, well, who's this guy? You ain't been here that long. You don't know nobody, nobody gave me that feeling. Everybody was very welcoming. um it was a good time all around. So just, seeing what kind of thing can be built if you put enough into it, if you're doing it from the heart, if you're doing it in a way not, screwing people over, doing anything of that nature. It's what it can become. And that really, for me, kind of hit home, where and how far I can go and how far things can go when you really, really want them to. So,
Well, yeah, I definitely, again, I definitely appreciate you definitely for coming down and being a part of it. If you could imagine, there's actually a lot more people that were missing. So it was,
that's
it's,
wild. Yeah.
I know, man. And it was funny because I was talking to my sister about it. I was like, I mean, even though I would have loved for everybody to have been there, I don't think that we would have been able to fit everybody on
No.
on that stage in that picture because we was already squished together like sardines anyway. So it was just
Yeah, because
like,
now that I think about it, yeah, there were a few people. I can even count, so I can tell if there's a few people that I can think of that weren't there that I know. Yeah, whoever you might have been, whoever you got tallied as missing, yeah, probably would have busted the room up.
yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly, on the flip side, that's what I have would have want. That's what I originally wanted.
Mm,
I wanted to see the sea of people that have been
mm,
a part of what we have built, and honestly, it was my thank you. That night was my thank you to everybody because
mm.
like I said, 20 years is a long time, and
That
it's a lot of years, and not even if everybody didn't do the full 20, but just still, even if you just did
yeah,
1 year, it's still the dedication and
yeah.
the love for the art that really just
Mm,
I just want everybody to just kind of just be celebrated because people, for me, the number one commodity in this world is time. I believe that's the number one commodity in this world. And for people to have given up their time to be a part of something that just started off as a dream is, is beautiful to see. So I definitely wanted everybody to just be in the room and honestly be celebrated. It wasn't really about me. It wasn't really about me at all. It was just about all of you and just everything that you all have contributed to making Victory Productions what it is. So that's what that night was about for sure.
yeah.
Definitely. Well, Isaac, is there anything else that you want to discuss? Anything else you want to talk about? Any inspiring words you want to leave with the people? Like, this is your time. This is all about you, sir. So, anything that you want to say?
Consistency, people. That's all I got. I don't, I'm not a big motivational speaker, but I will say consistency and the power of belief. Um, to not even have to elaborate that hard, but those two things make a lot of stuff happen that normally couldn't be done through just normal tangible means. And that's just, I don't know, that's kind of been the lesson for me for the past almost decade now. And it's finally really coming full circle and hitting home. It's one thing when you're filming, like when we were filming for the Love of Christmas and stuff like that, and then you don't forget about it, but you kind of forget that it's like, oh hey, we did this, and then it's like, hey, this is out now, and it's like, oh God, and so throughout the whole year, as you're filming, you're doing stuff, you're not seeing your seeds actually, come out to be anything. I think last year I did, more films than I had ever did in my life, and only a few of them have been released since then. And it kind of speaks to the process of life in general. You could be sowing a seed and doing work and doing things, and you might not see them come to fruition for years, for months, for weeks, depending on the time that the seeds actually grow. But um, being consistent enough to do it, and seeing what benefit from it, seeing what comes from it, that has been really, really big. Even being on this, which is, its relation to this episode, is just that same thing. It's like, had I have not been consistent and done those things like the cosplay and done those things like, like Bondage, like For the Love, like Pastor Thorne too, we wouldn't even be sitting here having this conversation right now. Or if I had just been a one-off and it's like, okay, hey, I'm gonna just do Pastor Thorne too, and then you never like heard from me again, I would have been a part of it, and I know it wouldn't have been no hard feelings or anything like that, but I probably wouldn't have been the first person to call to be on the podcast either.
Mm,
So it's like, so it's kind of just like being consistent, and believing in what you're doing, even when it might not look like what you're doing is bringing you anything. And I think we're all living examples of that. And so I appreciate the opportunities from you. I appreciate the opportunities from Quincy. I appreciate, even after Quincy stopped like directly putting us on stuff, I appreciate you keeping the line of communication open. Because there have been some things that people have seen that have been a result of some of the films that I've been in for you that has, developed other relationships. The people that I've met through you, like Ron, and now if I need advice on something, I'm first one to hit Ron and Sharmika up, and so, yeah, you believed in all of us. Some of us might not have been all the way there to where our potential should have been. Some of us might have been, living in our potential. But either way it goes, the web that you've created, the network, in and of itself, we definitely appreciate you for doing so. Because it's, invaluable lessons. I look at the tangibles like the film, like being on TV and everything, which is just incredible. But there have been a lot of lessons and a lot of things that have come from being a part of what you have and everything. And so we definitely appreciate you. That's what I got for right now.
Oh man, I appreciate that, man. I definitely appreciate you. Not only am I'm grateful for our working relationship, but I'm just grateful for our relationship in general. We have definitely built a beautiful friendship. I feel like you are definitely, one of the closest friends that I do have, and like I said again, um I'm learning in life about being careful about that F word. Um, the friend word, I used to use that very loosely, and I'm being very careful about using that word. But when it comes to you, I sincerely, from my heart, mean that. Like I said again, you are definitely, um, yeah, man. You're my guy, and I definitely
Appreciate it.
appreciate you and appreciate everything you poured into me. And I pray that I have been reciprocal in that.
Absolutely, man.
You know,
Absolutely. So,
uh, and I appreciate your words, man. Like I said, even when you were talking about the seeds and everything, and not really seeing the manifestation of everything yet, and just because even in this new journey, and me and you have talked, of course, offline when we talked about me stepping away from film and me
yeah.
starting the new chapter of doing the books and even doing this podcast and stuff, because it can get discouraging because everybody that just being one keeping it 100, everybody that has been rooting and supporting me in the filmmaking has not necessarily been rooting and supporting in this chapter. So it's like it can kind of get like,
Yeah.
okay, why is it not translating? And then
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
It's
And
just,
so
me. It's still me. Yeah. Like it's still me, y'all. Like,
yeah, so I
yeah.
appreciate you for your words on that, because that really hit me, and I definitely appreciate it because it's like it can get, even though I enjoy doing this and I enjoy the podcast, and I enjoy doing the book signings and all that stuff. I'm not gonna stop doing it because my numbers are looking low. But if we've been keeping it 100, and because I do study numbers, I look at, I'm just like, why? Okay, why aren't these people supporting me in this? Even, and again, I'm gonna throw this out there. I did a podcast saying nobody's obligated to support me. Then and nobody's not. I'm not saying you're obligated to support me at
Disclaimer,
all.
y'all. Yeah,
This
we're not holding a
this
gun to your head.
yeah, right. You're not obligated. But what I'm saying is I'm wondering why it's not translating, from the films and the shows, and then why it's not translating over here to what I'm doing now. So I appreciate you for your words about the seeds and sowing your seeds and continue to stay consistent, because even somebody like me still needs to hear something like that and receive that.
It's
So thank you for that, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's the truth because it's like, yeah, you're right. And this, I don't remember where I heard this from. It's just a real quick phrase, but I think they were talking about with regard to, I think it might have been homelessness or something that people could, and somebody was like, well, we don't have to do this, and we don't have to do that, and we don't have to support this. It's like, okay, nobody has to do anything, but sometimes people should. And I don't remember who said it or where that came from or who it came from, because it's like, hey, if you're supporting this, if you're my friend, if you're my person, if you any, and my people just in general, you don't have to do anything, but there is a point at which it's like, hey, maybe this should be a thing. And so um, I don't know. It's just I like to try to be one of those should people. And life kicks me in the neck, just like everybody. All we are all literally serving. We know most people are, a check or two away from homelessness. We get it and stuff like that. And so it's I appreciate your patience. Appreciate anybody that's listening. That's a friend to me. Patience. Just it's just that process, that effort. The effort is usually the biggest thing. As long as it's being made, you're good. But yeah, man, just I would keep doing what you're doing. Those the same people that whenever I closed the cafe down, there were people that jumped right on over and started watching the films that hadn't watched the films but had been to the cafe. And then there were some people that I never heard from again after I closed down the cafe, despite it
Mm.
being something I could revisit, or being something that I just couldn't do for the time being. And not everybody translated over well. Some people did, some people, didn't. But we gonna keep chugging along all the same here though.
Yeah, man, bro. And I
So
feel you. I feel you 100%. And we're gonna close in a second, but I want to understand how you feeling about, like you said. You said you closed the cafe. You feel like people just kind of dropped off. That's how I feel when I made the decision to step away
mhm,
from filmmaking. I feel like,
mhm.
oh, okay, he's not filming anymore, so there's no need for me to continue that relationship. And I'm just like, oh, okay. But like you
Yeah,
said,
like, oh,
oh, okay.
oh, hmm,
And
that's interesting. Okay, yeah.
it is, and like you said, it's like you just like, I'm still the same person. I'm just no longer doing that for the time being, and it's just like,
Yeah,
okay, like you said, okay, that's interesting. All right, huh. Hmm.
yeah. All right. It's just like, because you can't beat folks into submission, so it's just instead of getting wrapped up with it, that's
You're right,
it's
and,
just one of those things.
but that's honestly why I embrace I embrace everybody that does make that everybody that makes the
Mhm.
decision to still be here and rally behind me and really support and encourage and all that other stuff. So I embrace that, and I just continue to hold true to that. And like you said, you just got to just keep chugging along. Yeah,
Yep, it
well,
is what it is.
absolutely. Well, Isaac, man, thank you so much again. I appreciate you for your time. Thank you for your words, and I hope the people that are watching and or listening, I hope that they receive something, and it motivates and encourages them to continue to push towards the things that they want to do.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. But all right, guys, that is it for VPN chat, and until the next one, peace.
All right, y'all.